Welcome back to the John Ford Cade Show, sponsored each week by Veterans Ford. Our second of the John Ford Cade specials this week, a 2015 Taurus SC, $19,990. Won't find a better place to get it than right here at Veterans Ford. Welcome back to the John Ford Cade Show, sponsored each week by Veterans Ford. Mike Detillier along with John Ford Cade. John, the Drew Brees injury, I talked to a couple of orthopedic surgeons. Both of them immediately told me early the Monday morning, when there were a lot of internet stuff about a torn rotator cuff, that there was no way that he could have played in that game if it was a torn rotator cuff. Turns out to be the bruise. I was talking to Bobby Hebert, and he brought up to me that he had a slight tear, his rotator cuff, missed 7 weeks during the season. Now, I don't think Drew's going to miss 7 weeks, but I'd be shocked if he played Sunday against the Carolina Panthers. That's something, in talking to doctors and people that basically handle this day to day, it's all about rehab and rest. You can't play through that rotator cuff injury. You can't play through it. Even if it's a bruise, it's all about the rehab and also getting some rest in that shoulder.
Mike, I had 2 shoulders rotator cuff surgeries, right and left one, so I know how it feels and know what he's going through. And I'll say this much for him: if he has they don't call it a bruise, they call it a contusion. And so basically, here's what I'm going to say to this: he goes out and plays and gets hit again like he did the other day with his arm. Now it becomes a tear. You can actually tear. If you got a bruise, contusion, whatever it may be, he needs to rest it. And then for him to rehab it, it's not rehabbing for 2 or 3 days and go play a football game, because you know he's going to get hit. You can't tell me he will not go in this whole game and not get a pop or hit or something on his shoulder. And then if you injure it again and it gets worse, then he's out, like Bobby said, 7 weeks. Yeah. You got to give him a rest. So, you know, if you do go and play another guy and you lose the game and you're 0-3, the season's not over. You still got a lot of time left to maybe get a run at things. But you're being very, very cautious. The fact that he can go out there, Mike, and if he does go out there and tears it, now he's done. Pretty much, you know, you tear a shoulder now, you're pretty done. But it's a situation like doctor's saying, Andrew said, it's a bruise, rehab it. I want to see him sit out this game. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I agree.
I think it's a smart decision not playing him, but I'm not coaching this team.
Well, I think one thing you'll see is they'll be very cautious with Drew on this sort of thing. And I would be shocked if he played Sunday against the Panthers. It's just something you can't play through. No. And a lot of people say, well, he played 3 quarters with it. Well, you know, when you lather up for a game and warm and everything else, but it's like if you run a race, and we've seen people play games with pulled muscles, tears, even broken bones, and then as soon as you cool off, then everything that went wrong really starts to pile up on you.
You hit the nail on the head, Mike, because I've been, you know, I go out and play golf, and I'm so banged up, I'm hurting here and there, and I play 3 hours of golf, I'm done, I go home, and boy, that whole afternoon, that night, can't get off the couch, I'm hurting, the next day I'm in pain, and that's what Drew went through. You know, his momentum, his adrenaline was pumped, everything was going rolling there. He looked like he could still play, and you don't diagnose an injury when a guy doesn't tell you fully how bad it's feeling. You know, I'm feeling okay, I can go through it, I can play. You got to let the guy go. And then after, I guarantee you, Sunday night, Monday, and Tuesday, he was in much more pain.
The other thing about it is, you know, when you're 26 years old, you come back from injuries a lot quicker than when you're 36. And then when you get to be 55 years old, then those injuries, then they really start to come up.
I can vouch for that.
At quite a period of time. The Panthers and Saints this coming week, and so we're going to take a look at the breakdown of the last couple times they've played. The Panthers have won 4 of the last 6 meetings, but John, has been almost a deal where the Saints have played better in Charlotte and the Panthers have played better in New Orleans. And so it'll be an interesting football game. Here the Panthers, a beat-up football team, and they're 2-0. I mean, that to me is surprising. All the injuries that they've had, and the Panthers and the Falcons lead the division, both 2-0. The Bucs 1-1, certainly that one win coming over the Saints, and the Saints 0-2. When I look at Ron Rivera, in a lot of ways, his teams win ugly. Nothing fancy about what they do offensively. Great front seven. You know what that reminds me of? He's the new age version of Jim Mora.
Right.
When you look at how he coaches, what he does to win games, it's nothing that you can write home about, but it's winning football. and their defense is really, really good, but they may be without their best player in Luke Kuechly.
Well, you got to look at it, Mike, as well as I do. If I'm coaching any sports, it's about winning football games, or any sports, it's about winning. And in this case, you look at the Carolina Panthers, they found a way to win. They're winning. They're sitting at the top 2-0. They don't care about, do we average 35 points a game, or are we giving up 14 points a game? They just win football games. Like you said with Jim Moore, when I played with him, we just wanted to win the game. Do we lead the league in rushing, passing? They didn't win the football game. But being said, this division, Mike, is up for grabs. I mean, you got a team up there, Carolina 2-0, Atlanta's 2-0, who got there, could be easily 0-2. Tampa Bay, you know what that's all about. And if the Saints, if they can just get some things going, golden opportunity, like you said, they go into Carolina, which is like their best place to play away from home. Maybe they can steal a win from Carolina. Carolina's hurting a little bit on defense. They still got a good defense. Carolina don't have the receiving core. We talk about our receiving core. You know, Cam Newton's their quarterback, but they got a good quarterback. But their receiving core has been banged up and hurt. But their O-line is not as near as the O-line that they'd like to have. And so maybe our defense can get things going in this game.
The thing with Kuechly is big playability. Yeah. As a cover guy, not only does he make tackle after tackle, he can get back into the coverage part of the game, and he's become a little bit in the coverage part of the game. He gets away with things like Richard Sherman does in the coverage part, almost like they give him a little bit of leeway for a pull and a tug they wouldn't give to other guys.
Well, I know one thing now. The NFL this season has been throwing a flag a lot. I saw a couple of games the other night. I mean, it's like the first 10 plays, 6 penalties for pass interference, holding. I think nowadays you're starting to see them. Somebody complained about it. They're all going to call that. So if he's playing, they'll keep an eye on him. But I don't know if he's going to play with that concussion. We got to find a way.
I can't believe that he'll play this week.
It's hard nowadays. They're giving guys getting concussions nowadays. They're going to hold you out maybe 2 to 3 weeks instead of, you know, the old smelling sauce get back in.
One of the guys that's emerging for them is Josh Norman, and I think that becomes an issue with the Saints. He's become one of the better cornerbacks, not only in the NFC South, but in the NFC. He's going to go one-on-one against Brandon Cooks, and again, in another kind of fling at you, I dare you to throw it to Watson and to Coleman, because I think I can one-on-one with you, and I think they're going to try to condense those Saints running backs out on the flat. The Saints got to get a running game going in this, even if it's unsuccessful early. But remember the last time they played him, Mark Ingram, he really did a nice job against the Panthers. They ran the football pretty well.
Also, I tell you who else got to step up. Snead, the young receiver. He's young, but he might have to step up a little bit. And maybe Colston in an area of the underneath. You know, Colston caught some balls, catcher. He's tall and rangy enough too. But you were right, Mike. You got to run the football. If you run the football, then guess who stays upright behind the line of scrimmage? Your quarterback. So if you can run the football and dump it to the tight ends, get it to the running backs, but you got to still be able to throw the ball deep. I just don't know how they're going to go deep in this game. If they can keep it a close ball game, they got a good chance.
I will say this, in watching them in practice, of all 3 Saints quarterbacks, the one guy that can throw the deep ball pretty well is Luke McCown. Yes. He threw it better than Drew, and he certainly throws it better than Garrett Grayson. So I'd certainly think that you're going to see Luke McCown be the starter in this football game. And I think the Saints are going to try to test the safeties. Can they cover them deep downfield? And I think you'll see some deep passes to Brandon Cooks. More with the John Fourcade Show right after this break here. And we sponsored each week by Veterans Ford, so we'll be right back.